Today we're putting it together. Now, before we do get started in the meeting, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. This is just specifically for our group. Lots of people chasing Icon right now, which means you're about to get your cap back, which is amazing. And how cool is it when we start seeing stuff like this? Michelle, if you could post that real quick, just screen share it for me.
Right now.
Now, real quick, that's my face. I didn't want you guys to see whose that is. But how cool is that, guys, to where at the end of the year, instead of like calculating all of the money that you pay to your brokerage, how cool is that to see that in your inbox? And for those of you guys who are already Icon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's a year. And let's imagine what that looks like 2, 3, 10 years down the road. So we've got a lot of people who are 1, 2 deals away from hitting Icon and getting their entire cap back. And I just want to tell you guys, keep pushing, keep moving forward. And if you need any help from me to get there, give me a call because we got to be on the pursuit to get our cap back. But that's all I got. We got Chris Hardy and Michelle Wilson and Yolanda Hardy here today to get you guys pumped up and going into 2025. Are you guys ready for 2025? I know that you're starting to really finish up 2024 strong, but are you guys ready for 2025? Let me hear it, please. Let's
go.
Yes,
sir.
Let's go.
I love that. I love that. Michelle, let's get into it. Let's take care of business.
Let's go. Chris, I'm going to let you start and then I'm going to add something in there. Let me stop screen share for a second.
All right. I definitely get it started off. Let me pull up my doc real quick because, with everything taking place, with everything that took place last week, we hope that we got you charged up, understanding exactly what types of things need to be done in order to really maximize this coming up year. And so today is when we really start putting the numbers together. But there's going to be different kinds of people on this call right now. There's going to be people in here that are super excited about where they're at. There's going to be people that maybe are not as excited about where they are at because they know what they could have been doing, or you're so fresh and you're so new that you really just need to find out, hey, what do I need to be doing and focusing on each and every single day to just maximize my time? And we only have so much time. So I wrote this out, and there's going to be some questions and some thoughts that I want you to write down as we really get this started. But as we're looking at the business plan, the first portion is based on looking at the 2024 overview of what you've done so far. What are these numbers? What is your recap looking like? We're not done with 2024, right? But it's going to be done before you know it. And maybe if you really looked at your performance this year and digested it and figured out what you're going to do moving forward, you could really build a lot of momentum and set the right expectations going into next year. Cooley, anything you want to add into that before I just jump into theirs?
No, let's go. Let's get into it.
Awesome. So, guys, as we close out 2024, some of us are going to be standing here with a deep sense of accomplishment. So this year, you probably pushed harder than ever. You stayed disciplined and you built some resilience and you operated with a sense of purpose, right? You really probably broke through some barriers and made the most out of a lot of the opportunities that came in front of you. But I know that not everybody is going to be feeling that exact same way. Some of us have been struggling. Maybe our discipline was a little bit inconsistent, had some inconsistency, right? Your resilience was tested, but purpose wasn't always clear. And maybe you didn't hit the finish line. You're not right now in 2024 where you'd really like to be. But it really doesn't matter where you're at on the spectrum. I don't care if you just had your best damn year ever, or, you're like just starting this business and you have no clue what you need to be doing. You're at a position where you need to find out, hey, is this going to be the epitome of where I'm at? Or am I going to commit to a breakthrough, right? Because what happens is there's agents that I've seen crush it from one year and then go into the next and not sell 5 houses. We saw a lot of agents like this the last 2-3 years, people that were just like on top of the world. And then we've seen agents who jumped in the business at some really weird times where people would have said it's a stupid idea to get in the business. And then they go and crush it and sell 50 homes in front of a lot of veterans their very first or second year, right? And so I don't care where you're at. We just need to find out, are we in a position in our business where we're willing to get to that next chapter, and we're going to make sure that we're going to have a breakthrough and look at the numbers and see what it's going to take to get there, right? And so, I want us to think about, let me make sure I'm reading it correctly. I want us to make sure that we're understanding why we're really trying to build the production and build the business that we're doing. Because see, if we really were thinking about our why, and I know in this new day and age of like social media, motivation and all this inspiring type of reels kind of get played out, and you go, I've been desensitized to all this kind of verbiage, but you really need to identify your why. Because see, the people that are going to grow the most in 2025 are the ones that have something to work for, something to work towards, right? And so I want us to ask ourselves a couple things to get us in the right frame of mind. So number one, what are the 5 things that I actually am most proud of this year? I want you to write this down. I want you to dig deep. Don't just list your sales numbers. I'm talking about like growth, the moments where maybe you've pushed past some fear. There were some challenging times that were taking place, and maybe you steadfast into what you were looking to accomplish, right? But it does not matter. Identify what 5 things are you most proud of this year, because we beat ourselves up way too often. There's agents that I've watched beat themselves up for months at a time, and then they just start focusing on the little wins. And then the little wins become the big wins. And those big wins really start setting the tone, and people really start to notice who you are because of all those efforts. So we need to identify, what are those wins this year? Number 2, what are the 5 things that I know I need to eliminate immediately to create a solid foundation for success? We all know what those things are. So it could be like habits that you have, right? You can have some bad habits. It could be the distractions. It could be some mindset blocks. You have things that you're spending and wasting your time on. Guys, if you don't cut those things out now, you're never going to really see that breakthrough that you're looking for. So I want you to spend some time on this as you're going through this recap that we're going to go through with each other, because if you can understand that there's 3, 4, 5 big roadblocks that you can actually have control of eliminating, and you just have to take the time and find out how to do that, then you're going to free up your time to go sell some more real estate and build towards some things that you're looking to build.
And some of that, Chris, real quick, and some of that you might not know how to cut out, right? Some of you guys have a lot of problems and challenges that you just don't know how to take care of, or you think, well, I can't do anything about this. Raise your hand if you've got a challenge or a problem that you're like, I don't even know how to handle that. Like, it just is what it is, right? And I'm here to tell you guys that, like, this is where you've got to get really resourceful and use your coaching, especially like within this group. Like, if you're my people, you know that you've got people who are willing to dive deep into your problems, whether they're personal or whether they're business related. If you've got 99 problems, right? Then don't be afraid to like leverage your coaches to say, what can I do about this? Don't just chalk it up to, well, they can't help me with this, so that just is what it is and I can't solve it. I'm telling you, for every problem, there's a solution. It's just, we got to put our heads together and work smart. So whatever that challenge is, think about it. And if you don't know how to fix it, don't brush it under the rug. It's still dirty and nasty under that rug, right? Let's figure out a way to clean it up. Chris?
Yeah, man. And if you're having a problem, like identifying like the top things that you're probably need to be eliminating, ask the people around you. I guarantee you, some of your friends that are agents could tell you right now, hey, do this thing, and you're going to free up a lot more of your time. Ask the people who you're spending time with, and trust me, they see those flaws. You just kind of blind yourself to these flaws, and you just think, oh, well, we all have these things going on. You are in most cases trying to find a reason why not to do your job. That's just your nature in most cases. If you're finding that discipline's very hard for you, or you need to, practice more discipline going into 2025. If I'm going to practice some more discipline going into 2025, then I need to cut out the bullshit, right? And if you can cut out some of that stuff, you're going to gain, going up to this meeting today. The biggest thing that weighs on me, guys, is that like, there's people in here that are 18 years old, and there's people in here that are going to be like 70 years old. We only have so much time on this earth. And so do you really want to be, doing the same kind of business you're doing now in 3 years and 5 years and 7 years? Is that kind of business going to create the freedom? Because the next thing I want us to really understand is that, what are the 5 biggest goals that I have for my next 5 years? Can I actually just look forward in the next 5 years? And I don't want you to list I don't want, you to just like list certain things. I want you to be very specific. I want you to be specific about what you want.
Take financial freedom off that list and paint what that looks like, because all of you guys, financial freedom, right? What does that mean? Exactly. What does that look like? Sorry, Chris.
No doubt. No doubt. And also, make it about you, but make it around everybody else that is super impactful and you want in your life. And, so like, for example, why are these goals going to be important to you? What's the timeline for each goal? What's the financial and emotional investment required to make them real? You know, these aren't about production or transaction counts. These are like life goals I want you to create, goals that give you purpose and keep you moving forward. Because, you know, we can do all the cool sales talk and that'll get you hyped up. But the problem is in sales, you're going to get punched in the face every single day. Even the best boxers are going to get punched in the face 500 times in a boxing match. You know, you're going to get hit, but you have to be thinking about, you know, holding the damn trophy or the belt above the ring and what that means, because now that guy is putting food on his plate for his family and all his loved ones. And so what are you doing this for? And if you could really just get into that purpose, you can go through anything. You could go through 1,000 no's to get to your first 100 yeses. You know, that's okay. And I want to give you some examples, because some people will go, well, hey, I want to do this for myself. The first thing I thought was, how impactful would it be for some of you who are blessed to still have parents who maybe have to work? How would you feel if you got to retire those parents? How would that feel? But how empowering. Like, you could go, I got a new Lamborghini, but if you're like, dude, I just retired my parents, they're going to live another 25 years. In the next 25 years, they don't have to worry about a damn thing because they had me and I'm going to take care of them. Could you do that? Are there other people in your life you could be doing that for? You know, retire yourself, becoming financially free, purchasing. How about if you wanted to say in the next 5 years, I want to get 5 investment properties. And that means, you know what, if that's one a year, I'm saving 20% down, and I'm going to put that down on a property, and I'm going to put a renter in there, and I'm going to hold that. I'm going to get another one. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Well, what's 20% for the investment property in your area? You actually need to reverse engineer how this shit is actually going to cost you money. And then you go, well, I just need to do X amount of deals. This is why the business plan works so well, because you identify what you want, and then you go, well, that's going to cost me 200,000. Okay, well, how many houses do I need to sell to do 200,000? Well, how many people do you need to talk to? How many people do I need to talk to hit that number, to go on those appointments, to take those listings, to serve those clients? You need to start blending your personal life in your business. People say, put the business and the personal separate. Why? Like, you're not in that business. See, you're in a business where if you actually put in all the time and the energy, and you're super intent, and you have so much intention about where you're going in your day, you can actually make 100 times more than anybody else who's working a regular job. Isn't this why we got in the damn business? Because there's other agents making $1 million. Like, we've made millions selling real estate. You know, you think like, I want to go back to a regular $40,000 a year job. But the problem is, there's people on this call that their lifestyle may even be better if they went to a $100,000 a year job somewhere, because you're not capitalizing on your business enough. And there's people on this call who have made 100,000 in the last 90 days, and you could be just like them if you can just tie what you want and what it's going to take for you to get there. Are you guys with me on this?
Amen. Chris, can you call out some names? I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
So, hey, you know, this is something I want you to do, and I want you to keep this in front of you all the time. Keep this in front of you. You know, like you will, I'm telling you, this is what happens. A real estate agent today, they'll have a business plan. They'll get pissed off about the recap. Even the good agents. Sienna's on here. She's been kicking some ass. She's still going to do a recap and go, dang, what if I would have spent an extra 100 hours doing this stuff? You know, the good agents are still going to find out what they're doing wrong, right? And so, but can you take what we're going to work on today, take this energy, and then keep this shit in front of you each and every single day the next 14 months? Or are you going to do what 99% of people do? They'll go fly across the country to an event. They'll get on a Zoom. They'll do all this kind of shit. They'll create some business plan, and then they're going to put it in their desk somewhere. And then they'll put shit on top of it over time, so they make sure they're not looking at it, because that's accountability that's under all that bullshit that they're covering it with, right? You need to keep this in front of you all the time in front of your computer, so you go, God damn it, at some point I got to do it, you know? And this is what this meeting is all about. Take it over.
And Chris, you don't have to call out any names, but what you can do is just say, out of the people on this call, how many of you guys have your 2024 business plan? Especially knowing that we're going into fourth quarter, how many of you guys have it on your desk, right? Or where you can see it. That's a way to call them out. So
we can do like row 3, 4, you know, if we look at the Zoom view.
I just want to add, Chris, with what you're talking about, you know, guys, as you gave them the 3, you know, the 5 things you're most proud of this year, the 5 things, you know, you need to delete immediately, and then the 5 biggest goals. And for a lot of people, we have to understand that our far greater motivator is, how does what I'm trying to accomplish affect the people that matter to me, right? And how about if you don't reach your goals? How does it affect the people that matter to you, right? How does it affect your kids, your loved ones, your spouse, your parents? That, in a lot of cases, is a far greater motivator than just, Sienna, you're going to kick ass and buy that new car or accomplish this goal or be the top performer. It's how does it affect and impact in a positive, and again, on the opposite scale, the people that matter to us most. And I think that's why those exercises matter so much. Before we dive in, I realized that I like lost my mind for a second in the beginning. One of the things we're going to work through, guys, a couple of things. So just like housekeeping items, so everyone has it. And then we're going to just dive right in 1 sec here. So I attached in the chat, the 2025 business plan. Can everyone go in and open that up? So ideally, if you have somewhere, we gave you guys instructions for part 1 last week, okay, was to already have this printed out. Even if you just have it up on your screen, we're going to be sharing screens, but we want something you guys can take notes on. This is a working document. You should leave today, right? In less than an hour from now, you should leave with your first rough draft of an executable plan that you can take action with, right? And hopefully work on with your coaches, your accountability partners, things of that nature. So anyone that doesn't already have it printed out, again, it's attached in the link. Go ahead and pull it up. We have some other items we will be covering, handouts, that I will attach as we go. And then just as a side note, before we dive in, okay, everyone that's part of co-founders and pro agent, you guys know that the recording from last week, all of the handouts, all of that's there. That was a massively powerful session, okay? Anyone on here that wasn't able to be a part of that would like that, please shoot me a message separately on here. You can just message me in the chat with your email, and I'll actually forward you the recording with all of those handouts. It lets you do a really great the message from Chris and Cooley was so powerful, but it allows you also with the handouts to do a really
Mostly Chris.
really big deep dive. It was mostly Chris.
I was
Do a really big deep dive on just all of your business from 2024 to your monthly, what it takes to run your life every single month financially, to just dissecting all of your sources and where you put in time and effort. It's a really, really good exercise for you guys, as well as establishing those goals. So anyone that needs it, drop me your email and I'll send it over to you kind of as we go. So with that said, hopefully you guys all have, if anyone doesn't see it, that 2025 business plan template. And Chris, let's get started.
for sure. Now you're gonna pull it up on your end, right?
Yeah. So I'll go
Okay,
ahead and
perfect.
pull that up.
Guys, in the comments, I just posted, like, I just took that intro that I just, went into this with. Utilize that as a starting point. It's just a Word document. I just copy and pasted what I wrote into there for you right now and just made it and saved it. Go in there, go through those questions and spend some time on it. And it's going to be worth it. I promise.
Okay. So I'm going to be sharing multiple different documents, guys, as we go along, starting with the main business plan template. And you guys can be taking notes wherever you need to.
For sure. Hey, as we're getting started with this, the agents that have been tracking their numbers this year are going to have the easiest time setting the most realistic expectations. If you have not been really mastering the art of just compiling your own data to understand your conversion rates, then the business plan is going to have some guesswork in there. And we'll kind of go through that with you. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but we're not going to give you a super high conversion rate on certain aspects. However, I want you to just understand that if you can maximize the time you prospect and lead generate and go on appointments and put that into a data form that you can just, stack up over a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis, you're going to be able to really know your numbers. And it doesn't take too long. I would say if you're on this call and you're like bad at tracking your numbers so far, start doing a daily tracking form. And as you're doing that, over the next 30 days, you're going to have some metrics to go by. After 60 days, more metrics, 90 days, and then you're going to see when there's some highs and some lows in your conversion rates, and you'll find out, is it certain things happening in the market? Is it my inconsistency? And it's going to help you with the business plan for even next year to even set even more realistic and better expectations.
Yeah, I just dropped in the chat. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And I would tell you guys right there, that's the starting basis for I run an actual business versus I just am reactive as things happen to me. So
yeah, trying to get lucky, right? So, I guess we'll give an example. Do we need to give an example on here, right? And kind of run through it so people can have an example to go through with us?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Okay,
I have just the template up on the screen right now.
Okay. Perfect. So guys, if we're going through this, you need to go ahead and make sure, hey, what is my transaction goal for 2025? Let's put that in there right now. You should know what that income goal is, right? You should know, if you're going to be doing this from, pre-cap, cap, all that kind of stuff, you can, utilize and take notes right now on what we're going over and, fill it out accurately later if you need to, but definitely start writing on these pages and going through it. So if we can scroll, we can go to like the number one on the recap. I kind of talked a little bit about that, but this is the time where you go, I don't care if you've been in the business for a month. I don't care if you've been in the business for 5 years. You need to look at what's been taking place, what has taken place so far in 2024, and do a full recap. You know, how much income have I earned? What are my total business expenses, total closed transactions, total listing appointments that I've set, total listing appointments that I actually attended? Number 6, how many listings did I actually take? And then how many of those listings did I sell, right? And then we're going to go to buyers. Number 8, how many buyer sales have I accomplished so far this year? 9, what is my overall average sales price? So then what's my average commission check is number 10, right? Number 11, going to like, what is the average amount of hours I'm working per week in my business? Are you accounting for this thing? Or like she said, are you being kind of responsive to things instead of, you know, being proactive and being the person on the offense, really controlling your time better?
I think a lot of that too, that's why there's that deep dive handout, you guys, which I know I'll send to a lot of you, but on that one there, I think, Chris, a lot of it is let's be honest, because let's be real, for a lot of people, we seem real busy all day long, don't we? Right?
Yeah.
And especially even the less productive we are, right? Meaning in total, you know, units or volume sold.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, if you guys think that you don't have enough time, go watch somebody who's selling 100 homes a year and how they work their day, because you'll find that somehow they have the right time for the right things, but they're definitely gonna be busy, right? That's for sure. And when it comes to your average hours worked per week, if you can even focus on the money-making activities, say how much time did I spend a week on activities that made me, if somebody says, hey, this activity right here makes me $10 an hour, you wouldn't even consider it into your income. However, when you lead generate, when you go on listing or buyer appointments, and when you're closing those transactions, those are money-making activities. So, you know, if you are doing the money-making activities and you're kind of adding those up on a daily basis, you can get an idea of what you're doing with your time. You know, you want to next on number 12, you want to find out, hey, what is my present pending, you know, income that's going to be earned. Number 13, present inventory. So how many do I have presently pending? You probably want to have an idea of what you're going to earn from that. Number 13, present inventory. How many listing transactions do you have active on the market right now? Do you know how many days you worked in 2024? Some of you guys are going to go through this with me right here, and you're going to go, I am not keeping track of anything I'm doing. And so we have to find out, does this chapter where you're at continue? Are you building out the new chapter where it's like the next level version of yourself that's actually keeping track of these things and running a business? Because next week, when we have some people on here talking about what's working for them so well, you're going to realize they're all probably tracking their numbers. They know it well, and they convert well based on knowing those numbers.
I think that I was just going to add something here, Chris, and obviously, you know, we keep reiterating this part of it, but what I'm hoping, because it's such a void in the industry, and what you'll find by doing this exercise, guys, of 2024, you're going to find all those gaps of, I don't know what it took to produce this. I don't know, is it duplicatable? Is it predictable? It's the number one conversation, Chris, that I already know you, Yolanda, Cooley, and I have every single day with almost every single agent out there, right?
No doubt.
Is this predictable and duplicatable, or is it reactionary? And this is everybody's stress, right? It's the security, it's the consistency, it's I have control over my business. It's the whole, everything that we're talking about encompasses around that. And that is the conversation we're having daily with agents. So I think what you'll find is through this exercise for a lot of you is you're going to see that gap. And I'm telling you right now, if you just start tracking, we'll talk about just the basic fundamentals that you should know, whether you want to call it the KPIs, whatever fancy word you want to use, the few basic things you need to track starting now. You'll notice just over these next couple of months, it'll completely change the play in what of 2020. It'll change your business and your world that quickly if you just start tracking these small items now that we'll give you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. And at the end, we'll give you, you know, we probably already sent it out before.
We're going to give everybody the tools to use as their daily, weekly, annual tracking metrics.
Yeah, because this is how easy it is. I guarantee you, if you just fill out a daily sheet every single day that you work, and you just make sure like that's the number one thing you do at the end of every day, you fill that recap out of the day. The people that do that will be so much more successful than everybody else. It'll blow your mind. And so I didn't say you need a crazy skill level. I didn't say you have to have the best this, the best that. I said just doing that, because when you recap every single day and you have to look at it from that point of view, you have to start judging yourself. And when you start judging yourself, you're at that fork in the road where you're like, oh, I'm facing the music here. What am I going to do about it right now and tomorrow? And there's a higher chance that you're going to do something smart about it versus if you just push it off to the side and I'm just going to try better tomorrow. You need to actually look at the real deal on there. Going to the next thing on there where it's how many days worked, 15 total hours did you prospect? How many total hours did you prospect in 2024? And what were your total contacts is number 16. And so what you want to do is, I don't care if it takes you, 5 minutes or if it takes you a couple hours, I would try to find the most accurate number for each one of those 16. And if you could find the most accurate number, you're going to be in a better position to have a real world perspective of where you're at. And it's going to help you with the next point. If you've been in the business for not too long and, your recap is like 2 weeks because you just got in, clearly you probably don't need to be spending time doing a recap. But if you've been in the business for even, 30, 60, 90 days, I would still recap what's happened so far. There's going to be a lot of zeros for income or, certain transactions or a lot of those kind of things. But, it's good to know what things have worked so far. And it may be, you've been doing the contacts, you've been doing this, you've been doing that. So anyways, we can go to the next thing.
All right. I'm just going to put it right here, right in the middle.
So for part 2, 2025 production goals, we got to get clear. What's the income goal that we want to earn? Who on here already has a clear idea of what they want to earn in 2025? Does anybody have a clear idea? Because you should be thinking about this. It's something to get obsessed about, right? If I told you if you got obsessed about it and it would help those 5 things you want to accomplish over the next 5 years happen a lot faster, then, it's something worthy of getting obsessed over because it's not just the income. It's what is that income going to actually do for those things that I want to have or want to accomplish for myself and others. How many closed do I want to get to this year in 2025? So I need to, have a very clear sense of, hey, 20 transactions in my market. If my average commission check is $10,000 is 200,000. 20 is going to be $200,000. What is 20 in your market? Is it 100,000? Is it 400,000? Are you trying to do 40 transactions, 60 transactions? Be realistic. However, do not be in a position where you're setting goals that are not lofty enough to try to fly to. If your goals are too low, then you'll feel like you have all the time in the world to get to them. And trust me, you don't. Like a brand new agent getting in here and starting this off, them getting to 30 transactions in 1 year is more difficult than an agent going from, 40 to 100, because that person's already building momentum. And if they're constantly having breakthroughs, they're going to get to that 100. And many agents do that, but very few agents ever get to 30 transactions in a year. Right, Michelle?
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Cooley? Cooley, if you want to answer this, what's the difference? What's important, and what do you manage when you're coaching with agents on where do they base their goals off? Obviously, if we have an income goal we want to make, it translates to units. But when you're working with them, what are you measuring it by? Is it going off of number of units every single year? The difference of going off of volume? Can you answer that? Did you get what I'm asking? What I'm looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what the goal is, right? Because everybody's got, a different way of doing things. But I like to measure in terms of units because that's where you can really see your progress. You know what I mean? And if like a lot of people have financial goals, I want to make $100,000 a year. Well, you could do that in 3 deals, right? But does that actually help your business? Yes or no? And can you really measure the progress in that? No, right? And especially if you are a newer agent, right? Or you've been in the business for a year, 2 years, something like that. To me, your goal should always be in units, because those past clients are what's going to set up the rest of your business for the foreseeable future, right? So client acquisition is really important. Units are really important. And for me, especially as somebody who's been in the business for 3 years, right? It's not necessarily the money that's king. It's the client is king. The unit is king, because I know the next year I'm going to be able to create 2 or 3 more transactions from that one unit I did before. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I don't know if you, Chris, that's what I just wanted to highlight, that, you'll see a lot of people speak in volume. And I relate this back to what's controllable, predictable, and duplicatable, right, Chris?
Right.
Think about when we were at the spike of, the market doing this several years in a row, and we all think we're doing so good because our sales volume was amplified. right? But do we really have control over our business, right? Because then what happened a year later when our units was cut in half? So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, you can get really strategic about how you go after price point, guys, but like the units is the measure of your success. And you can make $100,000 a year go at doing 3 deals, 4 deals, or 5 deals, or something like that. And then if the market switches up next year, your business is going to be volatile. It's going to be susceptible. But if you have the ability to control your units, that's what's going to give you autonomy and power in your business and set yourself up to actually have a business. You know what I mean? So if you're the type of person that bragged about, I made $300,000 and I did 10 transactions. It's like a lot of those people who are bragging about that shit during COVID, right? All of those people have full-time jobs making $70,000, $60,000 a year right now. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, to me, units are always king.
And I don't know, I may offend people, but when I always, you know, being raised in the business, I always remember my dad was always big on units. And so, and I think he got that from MFO. And I think that in my mind, growing up, because I'd see all these, you know, all these different brokerages, the brokerages that emphasized the most on volume at that time were the agents that were also known for cutting their commission. It was a way for them to validate the amount of transactions they did, because when you do 30 deals but get paid like you did 10 deals, it sounds better to say you did 40 million in sales.
Right.
That's my thought. So, and maybe that thought just is with me to this day. Now, hey, whatever you got to do, whatever you want to go by. However, if somebody was to sell 50 homes in Denver, Colorado, or they sold 50 homes, you know, in Indianapolis, you'd go, it's still a hard ass job to go sell 50 homes either way. Right. And so there's something respectable about just looking at it from a unit standpoint, because somebody may be in Nebraska and their average deal is 35 cents and you're, you know, on the lake in Seattle, Washington, and it's like 5 million for the lot or something. You know, it doesn't really make sense. And so let's focus on that. Now, if you're somebody who's doing so much volume, you know, your average transaction is 5 million, you're doing 30 of those, and you like saying it this way, you like saying it that way, you've earned it. You know, go ahead and run with that. But what needs to happen is we go, what's our income goal? What's the closed deal goal? What's the listing appointment goal? And what's our listings taken goal, right? We have to start finding out what it's going to take, because see, with that unit, now we can reverse engineer it. So if my goal here, right, is to, oh yeah, we're adding it in there. Good.
I forgot to add that here. I'm just adding it. Keep going.
So when it comes to that closed deal goal, if somebody's going to have let's do an example on here so that people can have some numbers on there.
The math that we're going to do, guys, everyone should be taking notes on, because by the time we do this exercise for 5 minutes, any of you should be able to translate that same math to whatever units or metric goal that you have. You should be able to translate this math, greater, smaller, doesn't matter.
Exactly. So put a number on number 1 for us.
Navigate through and I'll add it.
No problem. On the income goal, we'll put $200,000. We're going to put a closed deal goal of 20. Their average price point, let's say, was, you know, maybe around 400,000. They're taking home around 10K. You have to adjust this for yourself, right? So the closed deal goal is going to be 20. Well, we're going to give this person the benefit of the doubt. We're going to say that this person is listing 50% of their appointment. So if they're going on 10, they're going to get 5. So if their closed deal goal is 20 transactions and they're getting a 50% conversion rate, how many appointments? Because you want your listing taken goal to be about the same as that closed deal goal, right? You're going to get buyers, but you want to focus on a listing heavy business. And all of your listings this year, you may go into 2026 with 4, 5, 6, 7 listings. And you sold the 13 listings and you sold 7 buyers. We'll run through that right now. And so if somebody has a 50% conversion rate and their goal is to do 20 transactions for listing appointments, they need to have 40. But if we think about, well, how many appointments do I need to set to actually attend the 40? So go ahead and put the 40 there. What I'll tell you this, if you're at a 50% conversion rate, I would guess that maybe 1 out of every 3 appointments that you set are going to actually be going and attended on. So what you want to do right there is you're going to go, well, if I want to go on 40 appointments and convert half of those, and it's going to take me 3 appointments to go on 1, I'm going to do 40 times 3, which is going to give you 120 appointments that you probably need to set in 2025 to even go on the 40 appointments. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to
And I'm
highlight something real quick, Chris, just for anyone that isn't used to our style of coaching or methodology. You know, Chris and Yolanda run a massive listing operation out of Houston, Texas. Cooley and I have run for years one of the largest listing operations in our marketplace and nationwide under the umbrella that we run. And what I mean by that, just because I always want to emphasize this because I'm very aware of the whole pool of everybody we're talking to, where it's, you've been in the business for 10 years. You're great at what you do. You're great at taking listings. You're like, I convert 100% of my listings because they're all from your past clients in your sphere, right? They're warm people handed to you. You went
it's
on
6 listings.
you went on 6 appointments, you got 6 listings. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about how you go out there and procure 20. So if we were working with you and you sold 6 listings last year that were all 100%, but you want to close 20 listings, you're going to have to go get 14 more. This is what we teach agents to do. And these numbers are exact ratios that reflect accomplishing that. So I just wanted to highlight that real quick for anyone that isn't used to us. That's going, this doesn't make sense to me because I go on 6, I get 6. Does everyone understand the difference of like my sphere, my warm referrals and handoffs versus I'm going to go generate 50 listings a year, 20 listings this year, 100 listings this year, all of which exist within this group right now. All in 2020, this year, right? Agents taking 100 listings in the past year, 50, 30, all of the above. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's things that you can do. And if you show up to a lot of the coaching and training that we have on a weekly basis, that we're all doing together, we talk about things that increase these rates, these conversion rates. So if somebody goes, damn, I got to set 120 appointments to go on 40, that's a lot of appointments. Would you rather it be 80 to get to 40? Well, it's going to come down to what you say and how you say it and how you follow through on the first initial conversation to the second to the third. It's going to come down to what they're getting from you through a phone, through a text, through an email, the videos. The agents that I have that shoot content after this meeting today, we're actually shooting some content that we're going to be working on to convert at a higher level. I guarantee you the content that we're going to create is going to make it to where more people are going to show up for the appointment and not ghost us, right? And so if you show up throughout the year, we're going to give you so much gold to increase these conversion rates. But even right now, some of our best people have to set 3 to go on 1. That's just life. You may start off and have to set 7 to go on 1, set 10 to go on 1. You need to know your numbers now so you can work on making them better by tomorrow, right? So the listings taken goal is going to be 20 transactions. Now, when it comes to the end of the year, you're not going to take these 20 in the first quarter, right? They're going to be spread out over the 12 months. So when it comes to listing sold goal, I would say that out of those 20 that you took, there may be 1 or 2 that maybe they expired, maybe they terminated. We don't even need to really account for that. I think within 20, you could run something that doesn't have any expireds or any terminations, but you may only close 14 of those. So let's put 14 of those listings actually sold in 2024. So that means the buyer sales goal for the year is to get 6, which, think about it. If a lot of your business comes from expireds for sale by owners, sometimes referrals when people have already moved out of the property, somebody passed away, about half of your transactions when you build a listing business aren't going to have have a seller who is moving out to go purchase another property. That does happen about, half the time or less, but you can expect that out of those 14 that you sell, at least 6 of those are going to turn into a buyer, if not more. I'm just being conservative, Cooley?
Yeah. I would say not only conservatively are about half of those, right? And even you watered it down, Chris, are going to go and purchase another property. When you are the listing agent, guess what you're fielding now? All the sign calls, all the inbound marketing of buyers, all of the buyers that you want can be generated off of all the listings that you take. That automatically solves that problem.
No doubt. And so we're being conservative because if you show up and do a lot of the things that, Michelle, Yolanda, Cooley, and I are always talking about, then what's going to happen is you're going to get more out of it. I got Andrew listening in here and at the home studio, and, he's been amazing the last 2-3 months at every transaction has been turning into 2-3 more transactions. And it's just because he does what we talk about and he makes the most out of those opportunities. And so again, these are conservative. Next is going to be like, what's my goal for hours worked per week? How much time am I going to be spending in my business overall? And so am I going to be a 5-day-a-week person, 6-day-a-week person? Am I working this many hours on this day, this many hours on the other? I'm going to put 40 hours in there. However, when it comes to your prospecting goal, really number 10 should also say prospecting goal hours, right? And we're going to get to days worked. I kind of like go forward and go back a little bit, but I'm going to show you why. And so when it comes to prospecting goal for your hours, I need to commit right now. What is my minimum standard? Write this down somewhere on that sheet. What is my minimum standard for how many hours I lead generate? I would not consider a day that you do not lead generate a day you actually worked. Because in most cases, you're not building any new business. You're just maintaining business that you got another day, right? And so there is going to be some things that have to be done to facilitate a transaction without a doubt, but get clear on how many hours you're going to prospect a day. For this example, we'll put 3 hours, right? And then when it comes to days worked, you need to make sure that you know, like, how many days worked in the year. Is that one on here? Right? Yeah. Let me see. She's editing in real time.
Oh,
right?
days worked, I put 5, but that in a year, translate that into, because these are all annual numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
if
would
you
say
have to write that
250. I would say 250.
Okay.
You know, 250 is a good number. Guys, if you're working less than 250 and you're trying to grow in your business, I would try to find out any high-level CEO, business owner, leader who is working less than 250 and in a position of trying to grow their business. So are you set? Are you made? Are you a made man, a made woman? Are you good to go? Are you still needing to grow, right? And if you still need to grow your business and make more income and build this thing out, working less than 250, you know, it's going to be hard to accomplish, but 250 is a good number, right? And so, you know, 5 days per week, whatever, there's going to be holidays. What you really want to do is I want you to go look at the 2025 business calendar. I'm sorry, 2025 yearly calendar on Google, download one, start looking through all the days in the year where you know you're not going to work, right? There's going to be certain holidays, certain vacations. This is also a time where if you're talking about that purpose earlier, about what are some things I want to do, one of the things I put on there was like, hey, maybe bucket list vacations. Some of you will never go on some bucket list vacation, some crazy stuff that you always dreamed of because you just didn't schedule it. Well, why don't you get yourself amped up and excited and start planning out some trips throughout the year that you can be focused on working each and every single day on getting towards and making a reality. And then, you know, okay, well, I subtract these days, and these days. Now I'm left with, you know, 270 days. And then you're going to screw up 25 days and you're probably going to get somewhere around 250, you know? And I think that'd be a good metric to go off of. And then your contact goal for the year, you just start adding this stuff up. Well, if my average contacts per hour is 10, and I'm going to talk to people for 3 hours, I'm going to get 30 contacts. Well, 30 contacts times 250 days in the year is 7,500 contacts. Is that correct? I think so.
Yeah. Say how many contacts again?
Should be 7,500. Is it? No. Yeah. Hours. Yeah. So 7,500 in the year. And there's agents here that are going to make more contacts than that. There's agents that are going to have goals for less than that. We're just giving you an example. Now, if you are in a position of really trying to grow your business, you're trying to get to that next chapter of you know, production, and you're trying to go from 10 deals to 20 deals or from 20 deals to 40 deals, whatever the case may be, understand that that most producers that are getting a lot of their business in a very profitable, great way by lead generating themselves, calling for sell by owners, calling expires, calling their database, all that good stuff. These agents are prospecting more than 3 hours a day right now. The ones that are trying to go from 40 to 80, from 20 to 40. So I would really start looking at your schedule, and there's going to be some examples down below that we'll go over real quick, but you need to start looking at your schedule and start finding out, hey, what are the days and times in which I'm really going to be prospecting in the morning, maybe also in the afternoon. And if you're really trying to, you know, build the skill level, get really good and build that production, you probably want it to actually be more like 4 hours a day or more. But before I scare everybody off the call, Julie.
Yeah. Does this, so I have a quick question here for the group, and I want I'd love anyone that's brave enough to just like, if you're looking for clarification on any of these numbers, and again, yes, this is math. I'll go back to running a business. It comes down to math. We are in a service relationship business, also a sales business. If you're running a business, it comes down to metrics and it comes down to math. I do this, I get this. It's that simple, you guys. And so as an example, you take a Amber McDonald, who sells 80 homes a year personally as a team leader, right? You take a Nick Trani, who took, as a new agent, took over 100 listings in the past 12 months, right? These guys know exactly their metric reverse engineered of exactly what it took, how much time they have to spend a day, how many people they have to talk to.
Sorry,
Get,
Jake.
yes, Jake, to get and close and convert this many listings, to close this many buyers. They know their exact metrics. Now think about how interesting that is, because we coach all these guys, right? When we're doing their business plan with them. It is an exact mathematical science of do this, you get this, right? Does that make sense
I
for
want,
everybody?
and I want you guys to think about the struggles that you go through on a yearly basis, right? When we're talking about not knowing if I'm going to make the kind of money that I want to make, right? Not feeling like you've got power and control. Like, why am I failing? Why am I not having success? How many of you guys have felt that way at some point? Like, why am I not where I want to be right now? Like, I should have been here by November. Why am I not here right now? And it all has to do, guys, with knowing your numbers. Now, if you want to take all of the stress out of the business, all of the bullshit feelings, emotions, all of that good stuff out of the business, if you want to feel like you actually have some fucking control of this crazy business, make this one of your primary goals, to know your numbers, right? That way, oh, I'm behind because I didn't do X, Y, and Z, right? But the cool thing is, I know all I have to do is add 10 more contacts per day, and I got what I want out of the week. I got what I want out of my month, and I'm finally back on pace to getting what I want out of the year, man. This business is all about predictability, right? If you can create predictability, you actually have a business. If you have no predictability in your business, you don't know why you're at where you're at right now. You woke up in quarter four trying to figure out what just happened, right? Like, think about that for a second. If you're that type of person who's in quarter four right now going, how did I get here? Then I got bad news for you, right? You're just, Chris,
Trying to get lucky.
trying to get lucky, right? Hoping to get some luck, okay? You're not running a business. So, guys, if you've decided that in 2025, I want to take this real estate license that I've got and I want to make it a business that's got predictability, that I could feel good about, that I could like set up quarterly goals and smash them, right? Set
No
up
doubt.
yearly goals and actually grab them, right? Then know your numbers and make that the one thing, guys, that you do this year that you haven't given a shit about for the past 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? That stress isn't going away, guys. And as problems pop up in your life, which happens to all of us, right? As things happen, right? You got to make sure that you know exactly how to rebound and you can attack appropriately. You think about all the major companies that are all around you. For those of you guys in Washington, Amazon, T-Mobile, Boeing, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that they don't have an entire department dedicated to their numbers? Of course they do, right? Because they would be a crazy business. Would you guys purchase a business where they didn't know their numbers, right? Would you guys buy an investment property and you had no idea, they got renters in there and you're like, okay, well, great. How much are they paying in rent? I don't know. Have they been consistent making their payments on time for 12 months? I don't know. You're like,
I
maybe
got a
these
good
aren't
feeling
gonna-
about it. I got
I
a
have
good
a
feeling.
bad feeling about this.
I got a good
Right.
feeling about it.
Exactly. All right. So I want you guys,
Yeah.
if you guys have been that type of person, like be that person, write it down. I'm going to be the person that tracks my numbers this year. Michelle, sorry,
Start it now.
tangent,
Take-
guys, but this is the most important part.
No
And
doubt. No doubt.
I'm hoping that this math made sense to you guys, so you guys can now reverse engineer this for yourself. Everyone just take a screenshot of what's on here. You're taking your own notes. And what we're going to share in a moment here, Cooley, I want to touch on this next item next, though, just for a couple of minutes.
Can
And then
you
we're
give me
gonna
one?
guys-
Give me, real quick, I
Oh.
want to cut Michelle off because the big thing that I wanted people to see on here that we didn't go into real quick is this person who's making this $200,000 income off 20 transactions, right? 20 transactions. If this person is going to prospect for 750 hours this year, 3 hours a day, 250 days out of the year, that person is going to be making about $266 an hour. Okay. So what if the next year this person did 25, 30 transactions with an average price point 100,000 above what it was the year before, 200,000 above what it was the year before. Now you're $400 or $500 an hour. And then at some point you become an agent who then you did 40 transactions and made this kind of an income. And then now you're just looking at yourself and going, why was I not looking at how much money I could be worth per hour by, you know, doing all the other BS when I should have been focusing on the right things? And then there's a couple comments right here. Somebody said, somebody in the comments real quick put, they use an Enzo dialer and they're getting 80 to 90 no's an hour. I don't really know what that is. There's no way that somebody's going to have a good conversation with somebody and get a high conversion rate. If you call people and you just say, you know, are you looking to sell your house real quick? And they say yes or no, and you hang up. Like, I've seen agents do that. It's never worked out. In reality, making anywhere from 7 to 15 contacts an hour is going to be in the realm of what needs to be had and what's reality. I'm not a fan of dialers, but if you're going to use a dialer, make sure that you're using one and you're speaking on it. And it's not some, that seems like,
if you're doing that, you have to invest in your skill set, because that's crazy. I can pick up the phone in the next hour and set 5 appointments, right? If you're tracking the amount 80 no's per hour, like that's where, like, you've got, the good news is you've got 80 opportunities an hour, which is fantastic, right? But you've got to invest in the skill set. And so role play and Breakfast Club should be a big part of your 2025 business plan.
Yeah, something's probably off with that. And then Daniel asked about, you know, what's a contact? Guys, make it very simple. A contact is somebody who answered a question that you asked. They answered one question that you asked. If that person answers the question, they hang up on you, it's a contact. If they answer the question and answer 20 more questions, it's a contact. As long as they answer the question and it's the person who owns the house. Okay? Very, very simple. Very, very simple, right? Now, I tell you what, way too many of you agents, you get on the phone, I'm looking for John Smith, and Chad Cooley answers the phone, and the first thing that person does is go, okay, sorry to bother you. I'll let you go. Yeah, right. You know, yeah. Instead, you need to dig into that. Hey, Cooley, what part of Houston do you live in? How long have you been there for? If you were going to be moving, where would you go to next? Capitalize on all the missed, you know, those like the wrong numbers. Just something else to add in there. But go ahead, Michelle.
No, just we're gonna, in a second here, probably in like 2 minutes, we're going to give you guys tools that you can use for tracking all of this. Everyone can leave here today, doesn't matter where you are, what company you're with, and you can start today with your daily measuring and weekly and annual. We're going to give you the tools to work with in a second here. Cooley, I only want to spend, just for time's sake here, I want to spend a moment on this. And what I love about this next section, when we talk about one of the big parts for business planning for me is, and Chris, Yolanda, Cooley, one of the things we teach with everyone is how to run a profitable business, right? And that's knowing, I cannot tell you enough, guys, when I work with agents every single day, they don't even know how much money they're paying to their brokerages. They just don't, right? They don't realize what their actual expenses there are. This is part of your business plan. This is part of your 2024 recap. It's knowing how profitable you are. This is called a business, right? None of us are doing this for charity work. It's a business. And so I just want to, Cooley, we only want to spend a couple of minutes. I want to highlight in really simple metrics. This is part here that we added here, so agents can eliminate these brokerage expenses that they have.
Yeah, 1,000%. So for those of you guys who are with EXP, you guys have the benefit of the revenue share model, right? And that is so huge, guys, in terms of, like, maybe you care about it, maybe you don't, right? Maybe you didn't join us for that. Maybe you joined us just for the coaching and training that we do. That's awesome, but it should be leverage. And I have a question for everybody on this call. How many of you guys want to work at your brokerage for free? EXP, whatever. How many of you guys would like to work there for free? Hey, don't charge me anything, right? Yes. I mean, I think that's true for everybody. So even if you're not like into agent attraction or anything like that, I want you guys to make sure that you understand that 6 agents that you attract will pay your cap every single year for life, right? So the EXP split is 16K, right? That's your cap. The first step for you and a part of your business plan should be to get rid of that so that you've got $16,000 coming in. Now, the great thing about it, guys, with us, we build that shit for you. So in your business plan, you should be on that builder's call with Matthew Walker, because he's literally picking up the phone and building that revenue share for you, right? Doing it for you, okay? One agent equals about $3,000 a year, or give or take. I don't know what Michelle's got up there right now.
Got up on the screen.
And so if you have 6 capping agents, that takes care of your 16K cap. So as you're paying that out, you've got $16,000 in residual income coming right back in the back door, right? Now, if you want to get strategic and you want to go, you know what? That sounds great. I would love to have a free house. How many of you guys want a free house? Okay. How much does your house cost you right now? Per month. How much is your house costing you right now? Okay. Just think about it. Write it down. Write down your mortgage payment. And Donna, I'm looking directly at you. And so write down your mortgage payment. Go, you know what? That's probably my biggest expense. And I'm sure for most of you guys, that's your biggest expense, right? And so that could be your next goal. Hey man, if I could like live my life without having to have a mortgage payment, without having to pay my brokerage, anything, I want to do that. That's a free house for me, right? Well, the cool thing is, just like we were talking about on the listing side, it's all math, right? It's all math. It's this many agents gets me this much money cash in my bank account every single month, right? And you can get with your coaches and we could talk to you about how we can actually put this into strategy, right? But you need to come up with that number and that goal. And you need to make sure that you show up to that Thursday builders call where Matthew recruited an entire brokerage for an agent the other day. An entire brokerage is coming over under that agent because Matthew Walker built it for them, right? Now, if you imagine if you showed up to that call every single week for a half an hour and just say, hey, Matt, can you make sure that I've got passive income coming in every single month? Sure, agent, no problem. All right. But if you want those things and you're not doing that, you've got to take head, get it out of ass, and get it on that builder's call on Thursday because we literally do it for you. To put it into perspective, so I couldn't be any clearer, guys, if you had a call that we did where we sat and made listing appointments for you, not only that, but we converted them in the living room for you, and all you had to do was get a commission check, how many of you guys would be on that call, no fail? We're doing that every single week on the builder's call for your revenue share. No excuses to not show up for that, guys. Should be a part of your business plan. At least step one, to take care of my cap, right? Step two, to take care of my mortgage payment or my biggest expense. Or step three, you know what? It would just be great if I was making $10,000 a month passively on top of my deals. We got brand new licensees, guys, who are making $10,000 a month cash in their bank account on top of their real estate deals, their cap being paid, all of that. And that's all available to you guys. But when you're running a business, you've got to go, okay, some of you guys are like, I don't really like the idea of having to do that, right? But I'm in business and this is part of my business model and I have access to this, right? I've got access to all of these resources. Now, the best business people in the world are not the ones who work the hardest, right? They're not the ones who put the most time in. The best business people in the world, if you look at all of them, right, are the most resourceful. You know what I mean? Jeff Bezos didn't start selling books out of his garage and fucking hand deliver them, right? He used resources at his disposal to get those out quickly. Now, I want you guys to write down all of the resources that you currently have. What resources do I have that can make me a lot more money and that could do things for me? Okay. And I want you to circle those things and I want you to dedicate yourself to exploiting those resources to the best of their potential to make sure that those resources are working for you. That's your revenue share, your coaching, your training, your lead gen, all of that stuff. I think we can all agree that we don't use it to its potential, right? Everybody, can I get some heads nodding yes or no? Yep. Maybe sometimes there are some things that I'm using, but let's make sure, guys, that in 2025, we work our resources to the fullest extent because we put too much work in, right? We grind too hard to not take advantage of the things that are done for us and the things that make our life easier, right? Fair enough?
Yes.
Round of applause for Chad Cooley.
Yes,
I'll give a round of applause for myself.
So real quick here, guys, before we jump back, and I want to add this for icing on the cake, okay? Because again, this comes down to math. This is numbers. So that what I just had on the screen there to make Brian, Jody, Rick, Donna, Charlene, all of you guys, this again, why wouldn't you, right? This is how you now eliminate your business expenses. But here's some icing on the cake because we are working on a 2025 business plan. As in, it's for those of you that are with our group, right? As an added incentive, that passive income where I showed you the 16,800, that's all gross metrics off the top. That's already eliminating your cap, right? But here's the kicker. as an added incentive, anyone new. So if you were to bring in, so if you brought in 6 agents in 2024, you're going to get that this year, next year, ongoing, right? Anyone new, meaning let's say this year in 2025, what's your goal, right? And you bring in, let me share my screen again so we can continue where we left off. And you brought in 6 agents in 2025, right? By just having Matthew call them, by introducing them to us. Let me go back to, hold on, let me just make sure I have my stuff up. Am I back where we left off? And actually, I want to share my full screen because I'm going to pull up different documents. Sorry about that. Okay, can you guys see my full screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so back to this document. The most important piece here, guys, is that I want everyone to know this is the metrics you can do is it's actually just for the first year, it's $4,000 per agent. So what's the math on that, Chris? If 6 agents came over, new agents, like you brought 6 agents over in 2025, that was part of your goal. What's 6 times $4,000, everybody?
24.
$24,000. Who would like, just because they can, just because that's built in as leverage, as a financial means, as an additional income stream, to have an additional $24,000 in 2025, in addition to all of your other income that you're building? Who would want that? So I just wanted to add that so you guys know the math. It's actually $4,000 for the first year, just so you guys know that. So with that said, these are stuff that we'll work on with you guys. I want to go back to this. And so Chris, let's touch on how in the world can they track all this stuff, right? And I'm sharing full screen so I can pull up some different items that I'll attach for everybody here. Chris, you're on.
I'm over here talking shit. My bad. So, if we're looking at 2025, we looking like, man, here's 12 months. You're looking at it from this huge aerial view. However, we need to get a lot closer to it, and we need to look at this thing on a daily basis. And so there's a few things that you're going to want. Number one, you're going to want to have a daily tracking sheet, a way to recap, a way to, number one, start your day, and then a way to end it. And if you can start your day with this to kind of a document, and you can do whatever you want to. You can change a document. Is this it? Not it. No, that's going to be a tracking form. I think there was another one. Yes, that's the tracking form.
Yeah, this is the daily. This is daily.
Okay, good. It just looks a little bit different from ours, but this is good. So if you can start your day off with, hey, how many contacts, how many appointments, what are all the goals that I have for the day? And if I can really complete this throughout the day when I'm doing my lead gen, really doing a recap, then what's going to take place is that now you have your numbers for that day. And then the next thing is you'll have like a weekly form, right? But if you really want to keep in full control of 2025, you want to get in control of like a document like this. And then you want to get in control of like that weekly business plan going, okay, well, it's Sunday. Let me recap. So to kind of take a step back, that daily sheet, start your day with it. Finish your day with it, okay? The weekly sheet, it's a Sunday thing. I'm going to look at some point at Sunday. I'm going to schedule this appointment with myself each and every single week that on Sunday, I'm going to do a full recap of what my numbers look like from last Monday till today. And then I'm going to set the expectations. I'm going to set my goals out for the following 7 days. And I'm going to keep myself accountable to these weekly goals by really capitalizing on that daily worksheet. And then this 1 week business plan turns into a monthly way of tracking. Do we have the monthly sheet as well?
Mm-hmm.
So it's super simple. It's all the same information. You're just putting it over into new documents to give you a better perspective. So then you have your monthly action plan. Okay, tomorrow is, going to be November. What is my full recap for the month of October? What did I say I was going to do? And what did I ended up doing? Right? If you're not doing this recap and you're not really facing the music, whether you're super excited about it, because if you're having a great month, that doesn't mean you just coast the next month. I'm looking to continue the momentum. So let me set the expectations for the next month. If I'm not so happy with how October has gone, then I'm going to go and look into what November needs to be in order for me to, stay on track and continue to grow. Right. And so daily form, a weekly form, and that monthly form are really going to make sure that by December 31st, like if you could be that person that is on top of just that thing each and every single day, then I think by December 31st of 2025, that group of people are going to be way ahead of the pack. And the only one thing that they did was they made sure that at the end of every single day that they committed to working, that they just looked at what was accomplished. And when you have to do that, it's going to make you move differently than you just going into the next day and trying to get lucky.
Yeah. And I just want to share with you guys, I'm going to attach all of these into the chat right now, but there's a science to this of why it's a printed out piece of paper in front of you that you're starting your day with, ending your day with, that you're looking at weekly. It's called working on your business. Do you guys get what I'm saying? We're just head down, like doing what we do all day. Nobody knows what they're doing. This is called working on your business, controlling your business, knowing your numbers so that you can actually run a manageable business. Okay. And I'm going to attach all of this to you guys real quick, but I just want to emphasize that there's a science to having that physical document that you're having to look at, fill out, complete every single day. Now, here's something that's cool. What you want is this accumulation, right? That's what I want to touch on when we look at like that monthly accumulation. And another item, I'm going to attach all these for you guys right now. I just wanted to pull up this last one that helps you guys. So this will get a little extra nerd centric. So I'm telling you right now, like this is the formula, these 3 documents here. But this is another layer that I will provide for those of you that are like, I want to see this from a entire year's spectrum view. Whoops. Sorry, I can't have so many things on here. I can't see. I gotta get this out of the way. Can you guys see my screen still?
Yes.
I want to show you what I'm looking at right here. This is called the numbers analyzer. Super, super simple, where all you do is input in your goals. I purposely have just a couple of weeks filled in here. So when you have that plan that you fill out, right, that Chris just showed, that I'm going to attach for you guys, you're just translating the numbers in here. There's like a 5-minute thing to do every single Monday for the week before, right? So I put some numbers in just to show you what it's like, right? Track your closings, track your money. And what that does is it'll automatically translate to your analysis tab. This will literally tell you exactly where you're on pace year to date, behind, ahead, in monies, in activities, exactly where to do, where your skill levels lack. These are all things that will actually do everything for you. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything if you're not tracking it every single day, right? And you're not putting it in. So this is just a simple formula. Again, when those of you that are like, teach me how to run this as a business, guys, it's knowing your numbers, it's tracking your numbers. Everything you input on this side will automatically translate into other one. So I'll give this to you guys just to have. This part doesn't matter unless you're someone that has full control and consistency of actually tracking numbers daily. Does that make sense to everybody? Then to get to like this level, doesn't even matter. On a basic level, as long as you do this, you're going to be miles ahead of, I'm trying to pull up the daily one here, of everybody else in the industry. Miles. Okay. And, but what that sheet lets you see, guys, if you saw that, that's going to allow you to track your accumulation and watch how you're improving. If you're doing the work every single day, your skill set will improve on all those different ratios and you'll know where to put in the time. So Chris, with that said, what do you want me to show back to on here? I'm going to drop all of these in the chat for everybody right now.
Yeah, if we want to just go back to like the original, because we can kind of take the next 5 minutes and just kind of finish out the rest of it. And I think what's going to take place, guys, is that there's going to be a really great amount of you that are going to start doing like your rough draft of this. And you need to be coming to us and going, hey, this is where I'm at on this. Can you help me fine tune it? And we're here to help those people really fine tune everything so that if you have everything ready for 2025, now you know, like, is this a schedule that I'm doing next year? Is this my new regimen for next year? Am I just going to like coast the rest of this time frame? And then by the time January starts, feel like there's this huge boulder on top of me that I can't get off? Or am I going to make the commitment to start building the momentum and the right habits and just, you know, delivering your business the right level of discipline it's going to need? And so you need to make sure, however you feel is best for you, create a, you know, Monday through Saturday or Monday through Friday, schedule. You know, how many days in the week do I commit to working? If you're a 5-day-a-week person, a 6-day-a-week person, a 7-day-a-week person, then you need to make sure that you know what each day looks like. Most of your days, maybe, you know, are 90% similar to all the other ones. There may be certain commitments that you have on certain days that you don't have on others. Certain days where you want to lead generate in the afternoon, maybe you want to knock on doors, maybe you want to get on a phone, maybe you work with buyers on certain days, you meet with sellers at certain times. Look at your schedule and have a clear idea of what your Monday looks like, your Tuesday, your Wednesday, your Thursday, your Friday, and your Saturday. And when you're doing that recap for the day, you want to make sure you're looking into your Monday regimen and accounting for everything. Do I have an appointment tomorrow at 4:30? I don't. So I need to make sure I do whatever I can in the morning to fill that time slot with a buyer or a seller who's looking to make a move, right? You know, really start accounting for certain things. Oh, I have a listing appointment, so I need to get ready for that appointment at 3 o'clock in order, you know, to get there at 5:30 and make it all happen. Make sure that you are looking at things and constantly problem solving and accounting for the time that you're spending in the day. And the more, you know, it's not to overanalyze, but it's to just set yourself apart from going, hey, if I can really look into the next day with a huge sense of purpose, and I know what my goal is, and my goal is to literally take listings and put properties under contract, then I can make sure that by spending 5 minutes the day before, I can really put myself in the right position for the following day. And so take your time to do this, but you need to be on top of it. There's some things that like a lot of top producers are going to do, which is take that Monday regimen, Tuesday regimen, whatever day you're on, and hour by hour or 30 minutes by 30 minutes, check through what you're doing. And you may want to highlight what are the hours or the times where you're not executing what you said you were going to do. Oh, I was supposed to prospect from 9 to 10, but I was, you know, putting out a fire on a deal and just to make sure that that one went through. Well, then you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing. Start finding out, hey, well, out of these 8 hours in the day, there was 3 hours that I should have been doing something differently. And so, you know, today's, you know, I grade it like this. If you examine your day like that, it's going to put you in the best position. You want to very much be like looking at what you're doing so clearly so that you're maximizing and not in the same position a year from now. Okay.
Yep.
Outside of that, any other things you can think of? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
And what I was going to just add here, Chris, is we're making ourselves available. You know, what's crazy, and Chris, you started with this, is of everybody that's on here, the percentage that will actually take all of this seriously, will actually look at their business and analyze all of this and put together that first draft, right? And come back to us. We want to offer ourselves up. Send this over to us, you guys.
Yeah.
Reach out to us directly. We bring us that entire first rough draft, and we'll help you strategically map out that entire plan for those of you that are serious. Okay. So hopefully this gives you guys enough to create that first draft. As a really cool treat to add to this as we move on to next week. You know, we want to work with you guys on bringing in some very high level producers and kind of dissecting what this looks like in their business, just to add the fuel, right, Chris? On
Oh, yeah.
what you guys are doing with these metrics. So we want to invite all of you guys back on next week with us. Let's just check if there's any other questions, and then Cooley, Chris, I'll let you guys wrap us with us here. But that's our action items to you guys, right? Is take all of this. We'll have the recording. Any guests on here that need it, make sure you guys reach out to me directly. I'm going to drop my email in here because once we close the recording, I will not look at this again. But any questions from anyone before we wrap? Anyone? And I put all the attachments here in the chat, guys.
Good
They're ready
stuff.
for lunch.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Michelle.
No problem. Thank you guys. You know, I know it's,
Hey,
I know it's a lot too.
Hey,
Thank
Dwayne,
you.
I gave my heart and soul today, Dwayne. I gave my heart and soul.
Chad, I thought you were
Oh,
blanked
no.
out. Thanks, Chad.
All right. Hey guys, really quickly, I want to make sure that all of you guys take the time to do this. I know how easy it is to be involved on a Zoom meeting, right? And then pop off and never think about it again. I want us to get really strategic and make sure that this is something that we do, right? As soon as you're done with that business plan, for those of you guys who are in our crew, I want you, even if you're not, I'll tell you what, even if you're not, I want you to send me a DM and let's go over it together. Let's fine tune everything together and let's get you off to a hot start, something that we can start implementing before January 1st. So that way, while everybody else is trying out new things and starting their business plan, you've got yours tightened up and you're just going, you're just flowing already. So was this useful to everybody on this call today? Do you guys feel better for having attended this today?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
no,
Yes.
maybe?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
Hey,
good.
hey, Cooley,
Yeah.
Michelle, Chris, if I could just throw out to the
It's
group.
from last year. Oh, yeah.
It's
the same. I have the same.
Go ahead,
It's
Dwayne.
really good.
Oh, hey, so it's to honestly, as an agent that has received a lot of help from these individuals, I would tell all of you guys,
I'm going to.
really serious about building, do what it is that's before you that they presented, because the accountability that they've used and helped my business has been tremendous. So I thank you guys for all that
That's
you
awesome.
labor to pour out in a free state, in a free situation like this. It's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate
I
that.
love that.
Awesome.
I
Good to
love
hear
that, guys. And I'll tell you what, 2025, we can always work on the things that aren't working as long as the things that aren't working aren't you. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I'm optimistic for 2025, and it's going to be the best year you've ever had in real estate. And us together, we're going to make damn sure of it. So I hope you guys are excited because I am too. Breakfast Club tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. How many of you guys are going to be there?
Let's
7:30
go.
a.m. Breakfast Club.
7:29.
Let's go, guys. Have a great day. Let's go. Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Michelle Wilson. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank
talk
you.
soon.
Thanks, Connie.